The 13th of August, 1899, Volume 2, Man Has Lost Religion, Threat of Chastisements. This morning, my beloved Jesus transported me outside of myself and made me see the decadence of religion in men and a preparation for war. I said to him, "O Lord, in what a heartrending state the world finds itself in these times, in the things of religion. It seems that she who ennobles man and makes him aspire to an eternal purpose is no longer recognized by the world. But that which makes one cry the most is that religion is ignored by some of the very ones who call themselves religious, who should lay down their lives to defend her and revive her." And Jesus, assuming a most afflicted look, told me, "My daughter, this is why man lives like a beast. He has lost religion, but even sadder times will come for man because of the blindness in which he has immersed himself, so much so that my heart aches in seeing him. But the blood which I will cause to be shed by every kind of people, secular and religious, will revive this holy religion and will water the rest of the people grown wild that will be left. And by civilizing them once again, it will restore their nobility. Here is the necessity for blood to be shed and for churches themselves to be almost destroyed, so that they may be restored anew and exist with their original prestige and splendor. But who can say the cruel torment they will make for them in the times to come? I let it pass in silence because I don't remember very well and I don't see it very clearly. If the Lord wants me to talk about it, he will give me more clarity, and then I will take the pen again on this topic. So for now, I stop here. End of the reading.
The 30th of August, 1900, Volume 3, Louisa Goes to Purgatory to Relieve the King of Italy. Having gone through several days of privation and of bitterness, at the most I saw him a few times, like shadow and flash. This morning I was at the summit of bitterness, and not only this, but it was as if I had lost hope of seeing him again. Then after I received communion, it seemed to me that the confessor was placing the intention of the crucifixion, and blessed Jesus, to let me obey, made himself seen and shared his pains with me. In the meantime I saw the Queen Mama, who, taking me, offered me to him so that he would placate himself. And Jesus, having regard for his Mama, accepted the offer and seemed to placate himself a little. After this the Queen Mama said to me, "Do you want to come to purgatory to relieve the king of the horrible pains he is in?" And I, "My Mama, as he wants." In an instant she took me, and flying she transported me into a place of atrocious torments, all mortal, and that miserable one was there, going from one torment to another. It seemed that for as many souls as had been lost because of him, so many deaths was he supposed to suffer. Then, after I went through several of these torments myself, he was relieved a little bit. Again the Queen Mama took me away from that place of pains, and I found myself inside of myself. End of the reading.
The 30th of August, 1928, Volume 24, Difference between Humanity and Divinity of Jesus, How the Kingdom of the Fiat has all been prepared by him. Nothing else is needed but those who would inhabit it. The language that Jesus used in redemption and what he uses for the kingdom of the divine will, one different from the other. My lovable Jesus made himself seen as a little child who, all clinging to me, made me many loving cuddles. Oh, how beautiful it is to see him in his baby humanity, all love, all trust. The soul feels so much trust with Jesus because she sees in him his humanity, which is so much like her that they join together like brothers. They identify themselves with each other, and one is transformed into the other. So the veil of humanity of Jesus, in which he encloses his adorable divinity, serves as means of trust by which the poor creature loses all fear and remains all love with Jesus, more than a son in the arms of his celestial Father. The love of Jesus is so great that he says to the creature, "Do not fear, I am yours, similar to you, clothed like you. And my love is so great that I hide the endless light of my majesty within my humanity, so as to have you be with me like a child in my arms." On the other hand, when my beloved Jesus makes his divinity shine through himself, his very humanity remains eclipsed within the endless light, and I feel the great distance between me and my Creator. His blazing divine majesty annihilates me. I plunge myself into my dust, and not knowing where to go to escape his light, because there is not one point in which it is not present, I am the little atom that remains submerged within this very light. It seems to me that I'm speaking nonsense. Therefore, I move on. So my highest good Jesus told me, "My daughter, the kingdom of my will is all prepared within my humanity, and I am ready to put it out to give it to creatures. It can be said that I formed the foundations, I raised the factories. The rooms are innumerable and all adorned and illuminated, not with little lights, but with as many suns for as many truths as I have manifested about the divine fiat. Nothing else is needed but those who would inhabit it. There will be a place and a room for everyone, because it is vast, more than the whole world. With the kingdom of my will, everything will be renewed in creation. Things will return to their original state. This is why many scourges are necessary and will take place, so that divine justice may place itself in balance with all of my attributes, in such a way that by balancing itself, it may leave the kingdom of my will in its peace and happiness. Therefore, do not be surprised if such a great good that I am preparing and that I want to give is preceded by many scourges. It is my justice that claims its rights, so that once balanced, it may place itself in peace with creatures, giving them no more bother. More so, since the children of the kingdom of my divine fiat will no longer offend it, and my divine justice will change all of itself into love and mercy for them. Then after this, I was following all the acts that Jesus had done in redemption, and my sweet Jesus added, "My daughter, my language in redemption was very different from that I have had for the kingdom of my divine will. In fact, in redemption, my language was to adapt to people who were incapable, weak, ill, deaf, mute, and blind, and many were on the verge of the tomb. Therefore, in order to speak to them, I made use of parables and similes of the low world that they themselves could touch with their own hands. So I spoke to them now as doctor, offering them the medicines to heal them, now as father, who awaited their return even if they were unruly children, now as shepherd, who went in search of the lost sheep, now as judge, who, unable to attract them by means of love, tried to attract them at least by threats and by fear, and many other similes. This language of mine says that those to whom I was speaking did not know me, did not love me, and even less did they do my will. On the contrary, they were far away from me, and that I, with my parables, made the searches and laid the net in order to catch them and give to each one the remedy to heal them. But how many escaped me? And I intensified the searches and the teachings to give light to many blind, that they might get out of their obstinate blindness. Now, see how different is my language that I have had in manifesting the truths on my divine will that must serve the children of its kingdom. My language on the fiat has been like a father in the midst of his dear and loving children, all healthy. And since each of them possesses my very life within them, by virtue of my will, they will be capable of understanding my highest lessons. This is why I have moved beyond, placing before them the beautiful similes of the sun, of the spheres, of the heavens, of the very divine way of operating that extends up to the infinite. Because having my divine fiat in them, they will have within them he who created the heavens, the spheres, the sun, who will give them the virtue of copying within themselves everything he created and his very ways that he has in his divine operating. These will be the copiers of their creator, and this is why I have been so lengthy in manifesting the truths about my fiat that I did not do in redemption, because those were parables that contained human and finite manners. Therefore, I did not have much material with which to be able to talk at length. On the other hand, the similes that regard my will are of divine manners, and therefore there is so much material to talk about that they become inexhaustible. Who can measure the vastness of the light of the sun and the intensity of its heat? No one. Who can ever put a boundary to the heavens and to the multiplicity of my divine works? Oh, if you knew how much wisdom, love, grace, light I have placed in manifesting my truths about my divine fiat, you would be so drowned with joy as to no longer be able to live. And you would yearn for the work of your Jesus to be known, so that a work so exuberant, of incalculable price, may have its glory and may communicate its beneficial effects to the other creatures. End of the reading.
The 30th of August, 1931, Volume 29. How God wants the creature with himself in order to give her the surprise of new gifts. The love, the order, the inseparability of all created things, and how the creature is bound to them. I was doing my acts in the divine volition, praying it to invest all my being, so that heartbeats, breaths, words, prayers might come out of me as many repeated acts of divine will. Oh, how I would love to be a continued act of it, to be able to say, I have in my power all your acts, your very love, and therefore I do what you do, and I am not less than you in loving you. It seems to me that true love cannot restrict itself, but it wants to expand so much as to want the infinite love in its power. And since it is not given to the creature to be able to embrace it, she turns to the divine will in order to have it, and plunging herself into it, she says with highest contentment, I love with infinite love. But while my little intelligence was wandering in the divine fiat, my always lovable Jesus told me, my daughter, one who contents himself with the little love that the creature possesses is not of the nature of true love. More so, since the little love is subject to extinguishing, and in contenting oneself, the necessary source comes to be missing that gives the life in nourishing the flame of true love. This is why, my daughter, our paternal goodness, in creating man, gave him all the freedom to be able to come to us as many times as he wanted. No limit was set. On the contrary, in order to encourage him more to come to us very often, we told him in advance that each time he would come, he would be given the beautiful surprise of a new gift. For our inextinguishable love, it would have been a sorrow if it did not have always something to give to its children. Even more, it anxiously awaits for their coming, to give them now a surprise, now another, of gifts, one more beautiful than the other. Our love wants to banquet together with the creature, and is happy with preparing the banquet at its own expenses, so as to have the occasion to always give. It acts just like a father who wants the crown of his children around him, not in order to receive, but to give and prepare feasts and banquets, so as to amuse himself together with his children. What sorrow would it be for a loving father if the children did not go, or he had nothing to give them? For our paternal goodness there is no danger that we might have nothing to give him, but there is the danger that the children would not come. And our love raves, for it wants to give. And in order to be more sure on where the creature must put our gifts, it wants to find her in our divine will that will preserve the infinite value of our gifts. And the creature will no longer feel little in her love, in her prayers, in her acts, but together with our will, she will feel that an infinite vein flows within her in such a way that everything becomes infinite for her, love, prayers, acts, and everything. Therefore she will feel within herself the contentment that she is not less than us in loving us, because she has a divine volition in her power, and it runs in her acts. Then I continued my round in the acts that the omnipotent Fiat had done in creation, in order to love, honour, and thank what it had done in it. And I comprehended the order, the union, the inseparability that all created things possess, and this only because a divine will dominates them. So the whole creation can be called a single continuous act of supreme will. And since one is the will that reigns, it maintains the peace, the order, the love, the inseparability among all created things. Otherwise, if there were not one will alone to dominate them but more than one, there would not be true union among them. On the contrary, the heavens would wage war against the sun against the earth against the sea, and so forth. They would imitate men who do not let themselves be dominated by one single supreme volition, and there isn't true union among them, but one is against the other. My Jesus, my love, oh, how I wish to be one single act of your will, to be at peace with all and possess the union, the inseparability of the heavens, of the sun, of everything. And you would find in me the love that you placed in the heavens, in the sun, in everything. And my sweet Jesus added, my daughter, all things created by us possess the unitive force and the bond of inseparability. Our divine fiat, as much as it is able to do things that are distinct among themselves, in such a way that one created thing cannot say, I am like another. The heavens cannot say they are the sun cannot say that it is the sea. However, it does not know how to do things that are isolated and separate from one another. It likes union so much that it puts them in the condition that one cannot separate from the other, and while they are distinct, and each one does its office, yet in the motion, in the going around that they do, the union and the order that they have is so great that one is the motion, one is the incessant round that they do. But why does my fiat make them move and go around continuously? To give them the race of love toward he who created them, and to make them run toward the creatures, so as to let them exercise their office of offering the love of their Creator, since for the creatures they were created. Now the creature possesses the bond of all created things, and goes around together with them. And here is how. If you breathe, it is the air that allows you to breathe, to palpitate, and your blood to circulate in your veins. Now the air gives you the breath, the heartbeat, and then it takes it to give it back to you again. And while it incessantly gives and takes your breath, it goes around. It runs together with all created things. And your breath goes around. It runs together with the air. Your eye, by filling itself with light, runs within the sun. Your feet run together with the earth. But do you know who has the great good of feeling vividly the force, the union, the order, the inseparability of all created things, and the race of her whole being toward her Creator? One who lets herself be dominated and possesses the life of my will. My will has changed nothing of the way in which all things originated, but rather it is the creature that changed things by not doing my will. But one who does it and lets herself be dominated holds her place of honour, as she was created by God, and therefore we find her in the sun, in the heavens, in the sea, together with the union of all created things. And oh, how beautiful is to find, together with all created things by us, her, only for love of whom were they made by us. End of the reading. There are no more readings today. Have a blessed day.